What's good, folks? Welcome to another edition of the Cover One Film Room, the show that gives you the hows and the why behind both the good and the bad of the Buffalo Bills. I am one of your two hosts, Anthony Prohaska, joined as always by Eric Turner, fresh off of your return from the West Coast out there in California, enjoying the weather and the beaches. It's snowy over here and terrible.
So happy to be home.
Yeah, so happy to be home. Welcome back. We are, Eric, as we do here, we are going to dive into the Bills tape from their previous game. That previous game being a very disappointing and poor performance against the division rival Miami Dolphins that saw the Buffalo Bills suffer their third loss of the year. We're going to dive into a lot of thematic and top of mind issues that are on the minds of Buffalo Bills fans and Bills Mafia and us as well. But before we do that, as always, how you feeling? How you doing? How's it going?
You nailed it. It's kind of depressing. And Jason in the comments says 8 depressed fans waiting for an answer. I feel you guys, not just because of the loss to the Dolphins, but yes, being back from the left coast and home to fantastic weather.
Man,
I immediately asked myself as we landed, why do I decide to live in upstate New York? It never makes sense to me.
Dude, I was thinking, I was shoveling out the car and brushing off the cars yesterday morning. I did the same, or no, Monday morning maybe it was. I did the same thing. I was like, oh, why do I live here?
And then, of course, right before we go live, as we're trying to pull things together, Amori, who is one of our insiders, says the stream's not on schedule, just like the Bills offense, and we were rolling as we hit live. So I'm glad you guys are making this show, starting off with a bang, because we're going to need it, because we're going to take a look at some of Josh's film, the offense's film from this game, kind of highlight where those passing struggles are and the reasons behind them. And then some other conversations are going to kind of spawn from that as far as, the offensive tendencies that the Bills have on that side of the ball. Some of the sack rate, scramble rate stuff that I think is becoming clearer, and reasons for that. So we'll add some context to that. But yeah, man, that was a rough loss. And I think also because for so many years, Josh Allen has been the Miami Dolphins daddy. And for him to, his numbers look great. His numbers look good. Like, aside from turnovers, his numbers look good. But as we all know, numbers can lie. And so I want to, that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to show some of that and with the film because it was a disappointing effort and really bad execution on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, numbers can lie, but the tape never does. And that's why we've put so much value and damn right into this show. Unfortunately, damn right. Yeah, it was I think even just this game, but really the struggles they've had for a bunch of this year, but kind of boiling it down the Miami game. I know so many people want to find a single conduit to put all their negative energy, whether it's a coach or a player or a position group or anything. No one, as we're going to talk about throughout this episode in various forms, no one is blameless. That goes from the coaching staff to the supporting cast, all the way to Josh Allen himself. It's funny. Some people are like on the extreme of it, and they're like, Allen keeps screwing up. He's playing terrible. And then there's like the other sect that is like, Allen's completely blameless. It's Brady's fault. And it's the wide receiver's fault. You have the group where, it's Brady's fault.
I hope you're not in here because you're not going to like us tonight.
You're probably not going to enjoy this episode. And then you've got the sect that's like, Joe Brady sucks. Everything else is fine. You've got the other sect that's like, it's Bean's fault for building this wide receiver room. You've got the other sect that's like, it's McDermott's fault for making Brady run this offense the way it's just, I don't say funny because it's really not funny. It's really frustrating, but it's funny to see how no one is safe. Like, the frustration is so palpable.
It's kind of like, it's like those characters that are lined up and they're like, pick your character. And that's basically, you got Bean, McDermott, Brady, Josh. There's just like a little bit of everyone is mixed in there. It's like, pick your poison, pick your character, because it literally, like, depending on who you talk to, they're going to have different guys lined up, or the priority or primary reason behind some of the struggles, especially if we're talking the offensive side of the ball.
Absolutely. And it was a total, as most things are in football. I say it all the time. Like, there's so many people involved and so many hands in the pot in football. When things don't work, it's very rarely one person's fault or one specific thing. Oh, this is terrible. I want to bring this up. I'm so sorry, but poor Joshua. Joshua says, I flew my family of 4 all the way from Alaska to watch the Bills lay an egg. It was our first Bills game also. 1, thank you very much for being here, Josh, and watching the film with us. 2, I'm so sorry. That sucks. Hopefully you'll get a better experience the next time you guys go to a Bills game. But yeah, I mean, kind of piggybacking off of Josh's thought there and what we were talking about, just a flat performance. Josh mentioned it. I think McDermott mentioned it. Several people mentioned it. I kind of lost track of who was saying, like, referencing the idea of like Miami wanting it more. And that was kind of reflected, especially in the start of this game. But when you're focusing on the offensive side of the ball, it really was a multitude of letdowns from, the structural aspect, from the individual execution aspect. And, all jokes aside, no one is really safe in that regard. And that goes from Brady all the way to the other end of the on-field execution when it comes actually to Josh Allen.
Yeah, there's no doubt. They came out flat. There was obviously a letdown from that Chiefs game. And they lacked that emotion. And usually on that side of the ball, it's one of two things: getting the emotional, support for everyone else and getting everyone riled up. It's usually the run game. You're breaking off some big runs with James Cook and that offensive line, or more times than not, against the Dolphins, it's Josh Allen. And he had an okay game statistically, but him and the offense overall failed to adjust. That's on the staff. They failed to adjust, and they failed at times to execute on the field. For the defense, I thought they did a good job of settling in and then creating those negative plays to get the offense the ball back. And the Bills offense just, failed to capitalize consistently.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it. When it started out bad, I was like, oh no, like Miami's going to hang like 30 on them. Like this is not great. And then, like you said, the defense kind of settled in. I know what the final, and I'm saying this as a person who is always frustrated with the Bills run defense. The runs at the end were kind of skewed everything, but they got gashed a little bit early on. But really, from once it was 13-0, they really settled in. They were getting some run stops. They were making tackles. They were playing decently well. And again, that's with, no disrespect, Fedarian Mathis getting a bunch of reps, Jordan Phillips getting a bunch of reps, Cam Lewis is in there, Max Hairston is still getting time on task, Christian Benford was out, Terrell Bernard is playing with like one friggin' leg. Joey Bosa's playing with one hand. Like he's got a literal club and he's battling left and right. Yeah, I thought the defense started to settle in, gave the offense every bit of a chance. And I really was sitting there thinking like, okay, the defense has settled in, the offense will settle in. It's not going to be pretty and no one's going to be happy, but you'll get out of here with a 21-16 win or, 23-19, something like that. They'll find a way to cobble it together. And despite the fact that the defense made some adjustments, kind of pulled themselves up by their proverbial bootstraps, the offense just was not able to get it going. It was, whatever verbiage you want to use, stuck in neutral or stuck in the mud or going in reverse. It felt really disjointed. It was one of those games where everything for the offense felt hard. Miami made a statement kind of coming out and stopping the run. I thought they had the Bills well scouted. They were physical and violent up front, and they took it to the Bills in the run. And then the pass game has kind of been what it's been a bit, unfortunately. And then Kincaid goes down. It gets a little harder. But yeah, the offense just, everything felt like they were trying to swim through molasses in this game against Miami from start to finish, even when, things kind of opened up a little in the end with the game kind of being locked. But yeah, really just a really unfortunate performance on that side of the ball.
And that's where I want to start on the offense. All right. I want to start on the offensive side of the ball. And after the game, you put out a tweet. It might have even been the next day about the Bills and their tendencies and their tendency to run on first down, essentially saying that they were last in the pass rate on first down at 37.3%. And coincidentally enough, when you pulled the stats for this game against the Dolphins on first down, the Dolphins ran base defense 57.1% of the time on first down, regardless of the Bills personnel. So they weren't matching personnel. The Bills on the very first, they were playing on the first play of the game. The Bills come out in 11 personnel. So one running back, one tight end. The Dolphins said, we don't care. We're putting 3 linebackers on the field. And so much so, Spencer Brown took notice of it and was asked by Sal Capaccio after the game about how the Dolphins, their game plan came out to stop the run. He said, they came out in base. That kind of threw us off. It took us a quarter to adjust to that. And so, when you look at the tendencies of the Bills to want to run on first down, this video from Greg Olsen is it was mind blowing because it literally fell into the category and bucket of the tendencies and that what the Dolphins did against the Bills. The Bills are run heavy on first down. Why would we try to match personnel if they want to go lighter, if they want to go heavier? We're just going to put heavy on there. We're not scared of their passing game. We're going to just put heavy, 4-3 type linebackers out there to stop James Cook. And the Bills struggled to adjust, as the game went on. But listen to what Greg Olsen says here, because again, it hit close to home in this Bills-Dolphins game.
Now flip it to last night with Seattle. They're doing the opposite. They're bringing big bodies onto the field under the assumption that you're going to match me with big bodies, and I'm going to make you go big to throw it. And LA is trying to make you go small to run it. And that's the starting point of everything they're trying to do. They are manipulating the personnel groupings you bring on the field, and then they're going to play the game accordingly. That's why if I was running defenses, I would match things more often than not on tendencies of down and distance, where I don't care if you come out in 12 personnel. If I know you're a 1st and 10 pass team, I'm going to play 1st and 10, 2 high safeties, and if you run it, you run it. That's where the league, I think, is going from the conversations I have with defensive coordinators and really smart defensive people. That's the indications that they're giving me. Now,
I mean, does that not hit home? I mean, it's perfect. It's perfect. He's right. Again, the Bills are a run-heavy team on first down, like you said in your tweet. The Dolphins said, okay, we got to stop James Cook. He's the identity of the Bills offense right now. The passing game of the Bills is struggling. Josh Allen is struggling. We don't care if you come out in 13 personnel. We don't care if you come out in 22 personnel. We're going to be in base defense. We'll defend the pass however we need to. Primarily in this game, it was a lot of zone defense. They played zone defense 83% of their plays.
And they had a couple cool spins, a couple cool cover 2, Tampa 2 stuff. Just how they got to a bunch of their looks. But yeah, it felt like this game was a ton of good defense from Miami. Like they took it to them up front individually, but they had some cool schematic stuff on the back end. I love that clip from Olsen. I've been kind of in silence this week. I did not see that before right now. That was super cool to hear and see. And it makes a lot of sense. I think it also makes sense why you're seeing, certain defenses, why someone like the Ravens, for example, why they go out and get a Loki Gilman so they can play him and Starks back there. And then Kyle Hamilton's your big nickel, because now that kind of makes you able to stay whatever the tendency is. You can play the run, but you can also play the pass because you have a unicorn like Kyle Hamilton. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense in the next kind of pendulum swing of playing tendency. And again, it hits super close to home in this one with Miami doing that. And the Bills kind of, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, or maybe last week. Everything's burned together at this point. The under center versus shotgun run to pass rates, which are still kind of in the same boat. The lack of play action, that they're still kind of in the same boat. The Bills have kind of hit a rut from a telegraphing standpoint, or a tendency, or a tell standpoint, based on presentation, based on down and distance or situation. And, I think a key piece in that from Olsen was him saying, like, this is the way I think defensive football is going based on the defensive coordinators that I've talked to. So this isn't a thing that's unique to Miami. This is something that's starting to take hold in the league, and it makes a lot of sense with what we saw with how Miami played the Bills and what we're kind of seeing tied into a lot of the Bills' struggles.
In this game, I mean, going into this game, especially, even that tweet you put out, talking about how run heavy they are on first down. Like, talk about some of those stats, because they're very good at running, regardless, whether the team knows it or not. But they also are actually pretty good at passing in those downs as well.
Yeah, you look at their metrics, like they are not. I'm actually pulling that up right now. They're not even that, like that metric of how much their pass rate on first down. And so here's where they are on first down. Like you mentioned, they're last in pass rate on first down at 37.3%. But their overall first down metrics, they're 8th in yards per play with 6 yards. They're 8th in yards per pass. They're 8th in yards per rush. They're 5th in EPA per play. Yeah. They're 5th in EPA per pass. And then they're 6th in EPA per rush on first down. So even with all of the telegraphing and, kind of the tendency giveaway and stuff,
right?
Like that is, I'm an idiot. It was on the dock. My fault.
Yeah,
I went full speed. I'm such a moron. Your remote was having issues. I'm having issues mentally. We're falling apart here already. Yeah, it's even with that, and that's what I thought was funny too, because I put that tweet out and everybody jumped on, oh my God, the pass rate is terrible. What a joke. And everybody ignored. I put those stats in that tweet
replies,
as a comment, and everybody, thank you, replies. I'm falling apart again.
You're good.
Everybody seemingly glossed over that and just focused on the negative aspect, which is I thought was very interesting.
Right. And you named all those stats. It's funny because to me, that is actually a silver lining. Yes, they are run heavy on first down, but they are also very effective at running still.
Yes.
And the other part to this is it makes me feel better knowing that all they have to do is just pass more, just change the tendency, just pass more, because they are very good statistically when they pass. Their pass success rate is up there near the top of the league. They just don't choose to do it all that often. And so to me, that's a pretty easy fix. And honestly, Ant, I don't know how it got so skewed in the first place. Maybe it was chicken and egg thing. Like, okay, early on in the year, they're like, okay, the passing game is struggling. We're trying to figure out the identity of the passing game. We know the run game identity and Cromer and what he's got going with that O-line and Cook. Maybe that's successful. We're just going to ride that a little bit. And maybe they just rode it too much, right?
Yeah.
Because for the longest time, even since I think the second year, and how involved McDermott and the analytics team has gotten over the years, I just don't understand how Dennis Locke and the analytics team and whoever's running them now cannot notice this stuff.
Yeah.
Cannot see that, okay, this is drastically skewed. We need to start to kind of counteract that, because that alone can open things up for your passing offense. That can open things up even more for the run game, because think about it. If you're coming out in early downs and consistently running and you're getting good yardage a clip, those guys are still going to keep coming closer and closer to the line of scrimmage. If you start off passing on early downs, what's going to happen? They're going to be like, okay, let me back up a little bit. Let me back up. So again, it can open up not just the run game, but also the passing game. And I think that's a pretty simple fix. And statistically, it's showing that they have the ability to do that on early downs. Consistently, we're going to have to see, but they have the ability so far, even with all the feelings and emotions that we have of how much of a struggle the passing offense has been. Statistically, in a lot of these categories, they're still really good passing on early downs. They just need to switch that ratio a lot, actually. Not a little bit, a lot.
Yeah. I mean, and that goes with everything too. Like the only having essentially a 21% pass rate when you're under center, which is 29th in the league, but then having an 81% pass rate when you're in shotgun, which is the 6th highest. Even with that, they're statistically and metrically still a very good offense, but you could start to see more flow and more seamlessness with everything. Again, if they can just tweak those ratios, if they can just tweak kind of those dials and the buttons they push and when. And I think you're posing the question of like how I've asked myself something similar, because they are metrics focused and analytics focused.
One of the top teams. They're up there.
Yes. And they believe in it. They use it to formulate their in-game actions, their in-game preparation. And I do wonder like how you can see these metrics, because everything that we see, they are seeing. They know all these things. Like these teams have
probably tenfold. Yes.
Yeah. They have next gen stats times 1,000,000 and everything else. Like, tenfold, like you said. So we're seeing it, they're seeing it, and they know it. And the answer that you gave is kind of what I think. We've seen them really commit to the whole, like, if it's not broken, don't fix it type of deal. And I feel like that's what it is. Like more often than not, even with these ratios, they're still finding success. So they don't think it's broken. So they're not going to fix it. But now I think, okay, do you guys think it's a little broken now? Like what will make them kind of get to that point where they change those ratios? Because it's all culminating. Because even say you put it in, and I did this on Disguise coverage last night, because it can kind of all compound, right? So you've got that low 37%, 37.3 pass rate on first down, right? So defense is already sitting there. Okay, majority of the time, heavy majority of the time already, they're going to run the ball on first down.
Yeah.
So take that. Then imagine they come out, if you're the Bills, and they're under center on first down. So now you're sitting there thinking 60% of the time, they're already running on first down.
Right.
Now they're under center. 80% of the time, it's definitely going to be a run. And then you go from there, and it's like, oh, there's the offset fullback, and Jackson Hawes is slightly off the line of scrimmage. here comes that blast counter. Everything starts to compound and you can kind of put it all together based off of how heavy those ratios are. Because it's not like 55-45. It's 80-20. It's 65-35. It is a heavy swing. And football, so much of it is about odds and tendency and tells, and teams are gravitating and leaning into that.
Yeah, and that's why the Dolphins on first down played base 57% of the time. Again, trying to slow down the run game, regardless of the personnel the Bills were showing. And you talked about, early downs, getting under center versus shotgun. This is something we honestly, this is evergreen content at this point. Why aren't the Bills running more play action?
I refuse. I always don't want to talk about it anymore because I just don't understand why it's not happening. It's so frustrating.
It's so easy to keep coming back to because they just still refuse to do it. So I put out a tweet yesterday about how off play action since 2020, Josh Allen has thrown 76 touchdowns off of play action. All right. He threw 5 off of play action last year under Joe Brady. He's got 4 so far this year. And I threw the caveat in there that the Bills got away from their run pass option.
Yes.
Kind of playbook. They could
use some of those again. I miss those free access RPOs, especially the digs on the outside, man.
We're gonna talk about that because this is something that we discussed with Ryan Bates when he came on the show and how they were a heavy RPO team and how that actually affected their run game in a negative way because the offensive linemen are blocking like it's a run, and then sometimes Josh is pulling it and throwing it and they're getting flags. And not only that, the mentality is different where you can hang heavy on blocks and combinations when you are running straight up run versus the option to pass it out of that RPO. And so I understand getting away from that. And especially when you talk about the Bills seeing the most man coverage primarily over the last few years, near the tops in the league when it comes to that. But this year, that is changing.
A lot of zone.
That is changing. They're seeing a lot more zone. You heard Joe Brady even admit it when Sal and I did a little collab, had him ask Joe Brady about, see separation for receivers versus man versus zone and how they aren't seeing as much man in prior years. So it just doesn't make sense to me that with all those tendencies that we just went over the last 10, 15 minutes, that you're not running more play action. I don't care if it's under center. I don't care if it's shotgun. You should be running it more and more with Josh Allen at quarterback.
Yeah, and like Keon Mori says in the comments, more pistol, more play action, and more pistol. Thank you so much.
That would be a perfect combination, yes.
That honestly would. Yeah, they are. This year, they are at a 19.4% play action rate. That's 27th in the league. Last year, it was, I think, 18%, and they were 28th, 29th, 27th, something like that. Just not good, which is part of the reason why we clamored for more of it. It's, again, what I'm about to say, I've said so much, like it's just such a basic thing. If you have a good run game, that's awesome. But a huge benefit of it, even though you don't need a good run game to have a good play action game, but if you have a good run game, it makes it even more. And for an offense that is struggling through the air and struggling with, being banged up at the receiver position or verticality or separation or whatever you want to use, play action just seems like such an easy button that for whatever reason, they are not pushing. And especially with Allen's athleticism, give me play action, give me some boots. And also within the play action, marrying more of their play action off of their core run concepts. Like I love them doing the play action shot to Kincaid over behind the second level based off the blast counter YF look. I love that.
Down that was
first down. Oh yeah, he slips right behind Brooks. Brooks had.
What about the second one? The second one after that to Kincaid on that deep dig. What down was that? It was the next play. First down.
Look at that. Yep, just get into it. And then this chart is really nice that you have pulled up here, Eric. When you're looking at the man versus zone splits that the Bills offense has faced through the last 5-6 seasons.
Yeah, it's crazy how much has changed over the last few years. And honestly, it's surprising given the weapons that they've had in the wide receiver room or lack thereof compared to early in Josh's career that we're seeing a lot more zone. Again, 83% zone from the Dolphins in this game against the Bills, but overall for the year, it's nearly 70% across the league. And that's, again, that is something that we haven't really seen when it comes to the Bills offense and types of coverages they see. And it's important because like in this game, and we're going to get to the film here in a minute, Josh has to take the profit. He has to take those. Everyone's complaining and calling them 1 to 2 yard throws to Shakir, to Coleman, and how he's bypassing some of these. But those are the plays that you have to consistently hit to matriculate the ball, one, but to set up the plays down the field, those calculated shots, those plays were like, okay, they just hit this under route 3 or 4 times. We need to do something because they are consistently doing it and moving the ball, moving the chains. And then once they make that adjustment, boom, you're getting Kincaid on a deep corner route versus Drew Tranquil. That is, those are the same plays. The same play that we're going to talk about tonight, the double China with Coleman coming over the middle and Josh is staring at him and not throwing it. That is the same play the Bills ran the week before against the Chiefs, and they got the matchup they wanted, and they hit Kincaid down the field for a touchdown.
Yeah, the Tranquil stumbled on. Yeah, that's the if you hit one of the double Chinas enough, the 7 starts to become available a little bit potentially. And yeah, that element of their offense is so important with, again, how they're overall moving right now, where it is, you know, I don't want to say dink and dunk because I feel like that has a negative connotation and I don't mean it to be. Matriculating, like you said, is, you know, I think the best way to put it, staying in 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, getting down into 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, instead of it being 2nd and 8 or 2nd and 9 or 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 9. That's just how this Bills offense is. And I don't want to make it a larger conversation. That's not what the offense was under Dorsey, and everybody hated that too because they were taking shots nonstop downfield because Allen and Dorsey both wanted blood and they were trying to take these shots, but those are lower percentage throws. And it's funny too, time is a flat circle. Miami, ironically, of teams in that playoff game where Matt Moore was starting QB, they were inviting those deep shots because they knew they were lower percentage, just like how Miami was inviting kind of more the underneath game in this one. It's so funny how these conversations keep happening. The Bills need to take everything they can right now because they're not getting a ton of juice in every squeeze. They're not getting a ton of blood from the stone. And people may think it's not that big of a deal, but when it's 1st and 10 and you've got somebody open for a 4 or 5 yard completion, 2nd and 6 or 2nd and 5 is a big difference versus 2nd and 10. And that's for anybody, let alone a run first team like the Bills who are starting to put together. Oh, great call, Keon Morty. It was Skylar Thompson. My fault. Matt Moore was years ago. I'm crazy for that one. Yeah, it's just interesting to see what defenses are doing, what's being given or being invited, and then what the Bills and particularly Allen aren't taking, and then the how you connect those breadcrumbs or put them together and the impact that it's having and how it snowballs.
Right. And so I want to get to some of the film. I do want to come back to this conversation about Allen structure. We had a comment just a second ago about throwing into windows, anticipating those windows and receivers, because it's something I want to talk about as we get to some of the film. So we're going to expand upon that, the structure of the offense, and if it's fitting for Josh, and then some of the sack stuff where, you know, his sack percentage, his sack to pressure percentage is a lot higher this year than prior years. And some of it expected because he was phenomenal last year.
Yeah.
But some of it, again, is a little over the top, and we're going to analyze and contextualize that later in this episode. But let's get to some of the film. Early in the game, we're talking the Hank concept. You got a flat, a curl route, and then the corresponding routes behind it. Josh, early in this game, this is a route he routinely is set up to hit Shakir. And on this snap, you'll see actually a pretty good disguise from the Dolphins. They're showing like it's man coverage, but really just a version of cover 2. You see the corner come inside with Shakir, make it look like it's man, but then Jordan Brooks kicks out into the flats. It's just like a Tampa 2 type look.
So cool.
Josh bypasses. And I get it. You guys are saying, oh, it's only 1 or 2 yards, but this is Khalil Shakir. I understand this is Jordan Brooks. Dude's balling right now.
Yeah, he had a great game.
This is the structure of the offense. Get it to Shakir. He made Jordan Brooks miss on double China 7 over the middle in their first matchup. Jordan Brooks is not, safe from missing tackles. And Shakir is really good at making those. But Josh bypasses the number 1. Number 2 is not really open. Guys breaking on it already. Some people argue that Curtis Samuel right here with Dotson dropping as the deep defender here in that Tampa 2 look is open. I understand why he doesn't want to. Typically, this route right here paired with this curl route right here is usually versus cover 3. If you guys remember Isaiah McKenzie. Yeah, a little high-low. Isaiah McKenzie, I think it was against the Seahawks a few years back.
Or even I think that the Bears hit Loveland for one of the big chunks in the preseason game against the Bills on this one. The Bills were in cover 3.
So Josh goes through his progressions, ends up checking it down. Made it all the way to Cook. Cook loses yards on this play. And so, again, I like Josh getting through his progressions, but you can make the argument that Josh bypassed getting Shakir. Again, second and the sticks, second and long. He bypasses that several yard gain, throws it to Cook, and Cook loses yardage. And that's important because the very next down is third and long.
Yeah, you could end up sitting there and you could get a modest, I think Shakir gets more than just like 1 yard. If he spits it to him quick, I think Shakir takes the angle up the sideline and probably gets to maybe, one-on-one with Brooks. I think he takes that angle. If Allen pins it on him, I think he gets to maybe, I was thinking like the 46, or not the 47, 48. And you're looking at, 3rd and 4, manageable. Instead, you're looking at 3rd and very long. Miami continues to build momentum because they got the negative play. And the corner out there is just sitting, waiting for that to be kicked to Cook as he sits there on Elijah Moore. And there's a lot of these that happen throughout this game where, again, it's maybe, I could see if you want to play devil's advocate and say, well, you're just playing the results. But there's a lot of these where it could have been 2nd and 7, 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5. Right. Or if you're talking Shakir's best attribute is being a running back with the ball in his hands. So just spit it out to him.
And that's the offensive structure. Yes. Like yards after catch, run after catch. They're one of the best in the league.
Yes. That's what they're designed to do.
Yeah,
that's the structure. Flow within the structure. Now, you can, again, devil's advocate and say that you don't like that structure. You don't want that to be the structure. You don't think that should be the structure with Josh Allen. I completely get it, and that's understandable. But if you have to dance with who brought you, and that's who brought him right now, you got to live within that and keep things on schedule. And again, I know people don't like that. You have Josh Allen. You shouldn't be the type of offense that has to stay on schedule. He's he's superstar MVP. I get it, but you still got to flow within it.
So this is the very next play, 3rd and long, dagger concept. You see Shakir in the slot. He's the lift in the coverage. Do you see any lift coming? Do you see any speed here to clear out the coverage? No, him and Coleman are basically right next to each other. So you're not having speed here. That doesn't, threaten the defense vertically, because this is the route to Coleman that you want to hit. And actually, this is where his bread and butter lies a lot of times, these deep dig routes where he can not only, get across the middle over behind that second level, but can also, go up and get it if he needs to away from his body. But you see, there's no separation here, between the two wide receivers. And Josh ends up having to essentially check it down on 3rd and long to see what his tight end can do after chipping. And again, it's not a bad decision per se, and probably efficiency wise is not a bad decision. But again, this is wherein lies the issue, is like 2nd down and long is the setup for this down. Side note, I want to see this more.
This route down here from Elijah Moore. Whoo!
This is what they need to. We're going to talk about in depth later in the episode, but speed at X. If Coleman's not that guy, you need to find someone that can beat not just zone and man, but at least have the speed to separate when Josh needs him. This is a really nice route versus off coverage. And again, if that was part of his progression, Josh maybe completes that in that deep out, but I'm digressing here.
Yeah, that's fair. I've got some metrics on the wide receiver room that I'm excited to talk about when it comes to Moore and even Curtis Samuel. Yeah, this is such a nice route from Moore on the outside. The way he gets in and out of the break, like the speed, the hard stab, and the little head fake. Like he doesn't lose any speed. He accelerates to the apex of that break. And that's open because the dagger concept up top, like you highlighted, is not. Miami does a good job playing the sticks, the down and distance. They're sitting here in cover 3, and their second level is just getting depth, and they're just getting depth, and they're just getting depth. And they take away the shot, they take away the chunk. And like you said, I think this is a good decision by Allen and a good play from Knox too. Allen puts this ball on him. Knox gets forward as quickly and as properly as he can, turns this into a 4th and 1, breaks a tackle a little bit, almost actually gets the first down on a super 3rd and long. But that's a hard way to live. You can't live in 3rd and 12, 13, 14, 15. And not even if you're the Bills, but any offense, but especially if you're the Bills offense right now. And now we get a little bit of double China.
Yeah. And so here's double China 3x1 set. And this is, I don't know how many times we've seen Josh hit Khalil Shakir on this. And you can argue, hey, he trusts Khalil more. And yeah, Coleman's going to catch us and get lit up by someone. Again, they're a yak team. This is going to set up your next down. It's going to set up your drive. You have to take this. You have to make them respect this. And so, again, maybe you don't want him. Maybe you can make an argument that Shakir, there's even a nice little seam route here from Samuel. But everything Josh does on this, I don't like. He bypasses that. And then you see him kind of get to the check down. He doesn't like Cook coming open here. And so now he's leaving the pocket. And you could have even make the argument late in this play that you have this and Curtis Samuel. Like there were options here that could have made the second and long a lot easier for the next down. And Josh pretty much breezed through and plowed through all of them.
Yeah, he looks right at Keon. You just bang. Like, if you don't know what happens the rest of this play, like you see Allen in the motion, you see Keon there, you're thinking that's going to Keon. And yeah, maybe he gets the step, maybe he gets an angle, maybe he cuts right upfield, gets another couple yards. But even if I think if he catches it there, and even if he gets tackled at the 35, you only have 6 more yards to go for the first down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, worst case scenario, I think he gets tackled somewhere right around there if he had gotten the ball. You also could have made the case, like if you wanted to hit Shakir on the outside, I think that's less viable than just spitting it to Coleman right there. And like you said, even the check down, that potentially like gets covered, but Allen looks to it, doesn't want it. The defender keeps sinking a little bit. Maybe if Allen's looking at it, the defender doesn't sink and comes forward. It's all just all of these compounding, like, and it's not even nitpicking. It's just all these compounding little errors and little mistakes. And
that's like a D lineman dropping underneath. That's what I'm saying. Like when it comes to the personnel as well, they had Chubb dropping in the coverage underneath, and
they had
Judon
dropping
underneath, and they're just ignoring that. It just makes zero sense to me. And like you said, even Shakir, he's not going to continue running this way. He actually sits down.
Yeah.
He sits down. Josh throws it out here. You have plays there. There's yardage to be made on this play, but everyone just says, "Oh, that's just a 1 or 2 yard throw." Man, guys, you have to stay within structure. I know Josh is Superman and he can be Superman, but he doesn't need to be in the structure of this offense. He needs to just trust his guys and get the ball out.
Yeah. And again, if he spits it to Shakir, if he spits it to Coleman, you're sitting there minimum. You're looking, I think it's a 4 or 5 yard gain. If Shakir or Keon break a tackle, especially Shakir, like if he spits it to him, that's Shakir probably one-on-one in space against either, I forget who because they're playing with so many backup corners, but you're playing with a corner and then you've got the defender inside him, who I think is Minka, like still a good player, even though he's not what he used to be, but there's space for him a little bit. I know these guys are still dropping and sinking as they see Allen kind of comes off of it, but I think minimum if Allen spits it out right away, he's getting 4 to 5 yards. And again, that's funny because everybody was applauding him for taking all the free profit earlier in the year. And now everybody doesn't want to see him take it, especially versus the Chiefs. Even before that, especially against Miami earlier in the year in week 3, when everybody talked in that game of like, Allen did such a great job taking what the defense gave him. Brady talked about it. Allen talked about it. And everybody was like, he's playing so cerebrally and taking all the profit. That's the profit. You have to keep taking it. That's the offense. That's, like you said, that's the structure. You can complain that you don't like that structure or you think a different structure would be better. Again, that's completely understandable, but that's the offense. That's what you got to do. And it, again, especially when you play it versus the results, it's not like he's bypassing that and then making a big play. Even if he does make a play on the run there, that's infinitely harder than just spitting it out and getting yourself a minimum 4 to 5 yards.
Yeah. And so this is the second quarter now. Again, it took a couple drives for them to understand what they should do in their plan of attack. And guess what? A tendency breaker. First down, under center, that counter action from the Bills with Hawes, and they run a really nice crossing route to Kincaid. Good separation at the catch point by Kincaid. This is the type of stuff we're talking about, breaking those tendencies. And you're seeing the base defense from the Dolphins. They said, okay, first down, we're sending base out there. And guess what? We don't care what you're going to do. Well, we're not just going to run it as a Bills offense. We're going to pass it. And then you see the separation from Kincaid. I love how he uses his forearm right here to kind of create that separation on Jordan Brooks. Really good anticipation and mechanics. Very good mechanics by Josh to rotate his hips through and that front hip through. Something that it's starting to creep up again. You'll see it on the next play. He's starting to step on that midline, and it's closing out that front hip at times. But this one, you see him rotate through. But watch the next play. The mechanics are still showing up a little inconsistent at times, but this was still a very nice throw. And kudos to the staff for calling this play a tendency breaker on first down.
Yeah, this is the play that I alluded to earlier. Is my favorite play of the game because it is a tendency breaker. Like, it's first down, they're under center. and because it's a play action based off of one of their core run concepts at this point. Usually they've started, when they get into this look, they've started to do a little bit of outside zone stuff to that strong side. So that's kind of like, oh, they could do maybe a couple things here. But yeah, look at the response. You have it highlighted from Brooks, from Dodson, from Judon in the orange sleeves. Those orange sleeves are awesome, by the way. Like that commitment, because they know it's first down. They know they're under center. And this look from the Bills, when they bring that blast motion, even just being in that offset or strong eye presentation, it's likely going to be the blast counter. And then you get the blast action from Hawes, and everything looks like, oh, here it comes. Even Chubb coming off the left side, he gets hooked a little bit by David Edwards. But you watch Chubb come down the line, his eyes are completely on Cook. Like right there, he has a free path to Allen, but he's selling out thinking, here comes the run. He's ready to make his way down the line. The second level committed. Kincaid's able to get behind him. I love this because of the tendency breaker for first down and under center, but also them having a play action play, which is also nice. But that play action play based off of and mirroring and looking exactly like one of their core run concepts.
Right. And on this play, it's the very next play. Again, first down, obviously. It's a pass play, but the Bills are in 13 personnel. So 1 running back, 3 tight ends, and very much so like the Seattle Seahawks, like Olsen talked about in that video we showed you. The Seattle Seahawks go big to actually pass. And this is one of those plays. That is the trend across the league right now. It's not just the run and run efficiently like the Bills do when they're in 13 or 22 personnel, but it's the pass. Now you're getting the Dolphins in their base defense. You get a play action and a nice deep drop from Josh Allen. You get a clear out by Knox. He clears things out. And this is the window right here to Kincaid versus that single high structure. Very good follow route, essentially what they call this type of concept. You have the deep crosser followed by Kincaid over the middle, and the throw is along the back shoulder of Kincaid. One could argue that was intended to be that way. One could argue that it was just inaccurate with the hit coming from the post safety. But either way, this is another good tendency breaker by the Bills, and one hell of a throw and catch by the Bills offense.
Yeah, a little bit of some Y cross action here. You get the cross from Knox, and then you get Kincaid following right behind him, like you said, on that dig. Get the late release from Jackson Hawes, which helps manipulate Fitzpatrick a little bit, who's sitting there with his left arm out there around midfield. I'm choosing to believe that he saw Dante Trader at the 45, and he threw this to keep Kincaid from getting bashed by Trader. I am choosing to believe that. Either way, that's a hell of a catch from Kincaid to reach back, pluck that thing, and survive the punch. Like the DB comes through, punching through the hands and punching through the ball. Kincaid shows strong hands, good mitts, is able to bring that ball in, survive the punch, survive the contact, survive the ground. That was a nice ball from Kincaid to be able to reel that in. But I like the concept. And again, tendency breaker. Look at all the space that's in the middle of the field there. Give you an opportunity. Good concept as well. And things work out here. Nice for the Bills.
And like I said, this one, I don't like Josh's mechanics on this. So here's the hallway. Technically, this is the direction the ball is supposed to be thrown. So he's basically trying to line that with where he wants the ball to go. And you'll see him step on that midline with that front foot right there. And so now this front left hip can't open up, and he's not that rotational passer that he's really grown into. And that's why you see that front leg stiffen and that right hip follow through late. So the sequencing is off. And a lot of times you can tell this happens when he whips that back hip, that right hip like that. You see him kind of do that, and that front leg stays stiff. That's usually Josh's like dead giveaway that mechanics weren't on point. But either way, like you said, great tendency breaker and getting into the big 13 personnel look, not just to run it, but to pass it, especially on first down, especially from under center. Just really, really good stuff. So let's move forward to 3rd and long here. Very good job. I thought the Dolphins did a great job all day of disguising their coverages, spinning post snap, really confusing Josh. And part of the reason why Josh had such a high average time to throw rate, not because of guys weren't separating. I think that's something that really grinds my gears, Anthony, when people use average time to throw as a reason to support No one's open. No one's separating. No, that is not it. That is not the context that stat is actually supposed to identify. If you go back and watch this game, you'll see plays like this that, one, you saw there are guys open versus zone. Josh wasn't throwing it, and he's running around, obviously. That's going to obviously increase the average time to throw. But things like this, too. Post-snap against this mesh dagger concept, they do one hell of a job. I wish I could draw how they actually kind of spin out into these coverages. Watch this guy. He starts down here. He does some like back to the
he
post.
Literally spins. Dante Trader literally spins.
So they make it look like cover zero, like pressure's coming, but they end up just rushing, for there and dropping out. And it really confuses Josh so much. So watch from the angle, the end zone angle. He hits the top of his drop. He's not even trying to read the defense.
Yeah.
He thinks a blitz is coming. He hits that back foot and he takes off and he gets sacked. This is what I'm talking about with Josh. He's not seeing the field well, and it's leading to plays like this in critical moments. Again, 3rd and long. He was really confused on this play. The motion by the running back doesn't really uncover anything. It looks like it's cover zero coming. So he slides the offensive line to the left. You get the running back versus Judon, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that it, for the most part, is picked up pretty well. Josh hits his top of his drop, and he's just taking off. He's just taking off there. He's not trying to let this develop and maybe get that dagger over the middle. He's taking off, and he gets sacked.
Yeah, or even, Kincaid coming across on the 40, because you get the, a little bit of some depth and a vacated zone on that right side there. Boom, Kincaid is right there. If he catches that, maybe he falls forward for the first down, or you're looking for, a 4th and short potentially there. But yeah, you hit everything. I loved this spin from Miami. I love Trader making like, oh, hey, I'm going with Keon. Yep. Like, oh, okay, maybe there's that man indicator. Okay, I think I know what's up. And then, he just puts his foot in the ground. And baseball turns out, and they drop. And it was just a really good coverage spin, well-timed, well-disguised, and masked. And you could tell that Allen was just like, okay, hit the top of my drop, but screw it, I'm taking off. And even if he gets through the line right there and doesn't get sacked, there's really nowhere for him to go. There's only Shakir on that side, plus the Dolphins defenders are closing. Someone's going to plaster to Shakir, and then there's going to be multiple defenders coming from him. Like, that was a loss as soon as the snap happened, and it's partly on Josh, and it's partly a kudos and a tip of the cap to Miami.
Yeah, and this is another play that Josh just can't have. You can't have red zone turnovers, especially when the drive goes, like 7 or 8 minutes?
Oh, my God,
in the third quarter. Like, you have to capitalize on that.
Over 8 minutes. I think they started with 15 minutes, and this play ended it, and there was 6 minutes and 55 seconds left. So, yeah, over 8-minute drive. Crazy.
And after the game, Josh admitted that he wasn't trying to throw it to Knox. He was actually trying to hit the backline route from Tyrell Shavers. I know you posted this as soon as the game was over, and that does look like it's going to come open. Josh was exhausted, and I'd say most of the players on the Bills, they looked run down in this game. They were exhausted. Especially this drive for Josh. He was running all over the place. But it's one of those plays where, like he said in this post-game presser, yes, he was trying to throw at the Shavers, but more importantly, he saw cover zero. He saw cover zero. And in cover zero, in its man coverage, where are you supposed to attack? The middle of the field.
And how many times did they do this last year, especially to Matt Collins, Amari Cooper? They ate it.
They hit Coleman on it too.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Ravens. in week 1. And this is where your eyes have to go. This is your man beater. These are zone routes. I know my guy Stevie Johnson said that Knox should have ran in here. This is not Y option. This is
stick concept.
This is stick. So he can hook it up here. If it's zone, if it's man, like it is here, you see Dawson Knox run out. And so there's no in route by Knox here. They have to, again, you're thinking about high-low action here. And so they did not run that in route. Josh's eyes, in my opinion, based on the cover zero look, the man coverage, should be to his man beater. And while, yes, Keon Coleman has struggled at times, he actually ran a pretty good route here to the middle of the field. He gets held. If Josh throws this, who knows? This could be called against the defense there. His eyes, in my opinion, should be to that side, that man beater concept. It's a really nice route, all things considered, from what we've seen of Coleman this year. Instead, he stays to the zone side, and he makes just a bad decision, a bad throw. He was exhausted. I get it, but it's still a bad decision to give the ball away after you drove down there, took that much time off the clock, and you come away with 0 points.
Yeah, really just Frustrating and unfortunate end to this drive that was really starting to show. Like, you come out of the half and you're just moving the ball down the field. The run started to work a little bit, and you're sitting there thinking, okay, here you go. But they get the turnover here, like you said, on that stick concept. So you get the stick route from Dawson Knox. It gets run at like about 5 yards, and then Knox will have the option of literally sticking and staying and like sitting in the zone if it's zone, or if it's man, like you said, like it is here, you essentially kind of stick and run away, kind of run it out a little bit, run away from that man coverage, which is what Knox does. You get the route in the flat from Shakir. And then you get, all things considered, a decent route from Shavers too on the bottom, who, I agree. I do think that comes open. I get it, why Allen was looking that way. And like he said, they brought zero. They got some pressure into him. He wasn't able to fully step into it and make the throw that he wanted to make. And it just looks terrible and ends up getting picked. But I'm right there with you too. Like, if he saw zero, he said it in the presser. So I don't know if he saw it pre-snap or knew it or saw it post-snap. But yeah, I would think you are looking to your innermost breaking route, because like you said, cover zero, for those who don't know, that means there is no safety help. There is nobody over the top or in the middle of the field, and you've got that man coverage aspect. That means there is a giant hole in the middle of the field. You're looking for somebody to break into that middle of the field. Again, this is not an option route for Knox, like you said. So he sees man, he's going to take that stick and move it out and run away from the man coverage. Your only in breaker is Keon. And yeah, all things considered, good route from Keon. If Allen's on time, this is a good example here. Keon hits that stab. There's a little angle there. Maybe he can get the ball up and away, or because the focus is on Keon, maybe he draws that flag because he did get grabbed.
Yeah, he did get grabbed there. It's just, it's unreal, man. Just a bad decision overall.
And I don't get too frustrated much nowadays watching the games. I slammed my notebook on the ground when that happened. I was so, because of the time, how successful it was and how ugly it looked, I was so mad.
I want to come out of the film here for a second, because I love this conversation when it comes to the structure of the offense and how I feel like this has come full circle. So you see some of these plays that the process is there, right, for Josh to just throw the ball underneath and let his guys do the work. The conversation now is, okay, if he's not consistently doing it, why is Brady calling it that often? But it makes you think, is this offense too structured for Josh?
You need more
It sounds crazy.
You need more Dorsey. You need more.
This is where I'm going with this, because under Dable, under Dorsey, Josh, it seemed to at times flourish with the option routes, right? And once Dorsey got involved and how aggressive he was, everything was an option route. Yeah. It was almost over the top, right? So
too much.
You start to ask yourself, like, we even started saying, hey, we need some more locked routes. We need a defined route, a dig route, not a dig route that could turn into a corner, go, hook, like all these different options. But now it's like, is this structure too much for Josh when we're talking Joe Brady's offense? Because those plays are there to be made. They're locked routes. They're under routes, but he's not consistently making it. So now you ask yourself, is it too structured for Josh, the wild stallion, Josh Allen?
I think that's so funny. And another thing of, everything comes full circle. Time is a flat circle, man. We talked about it with Dorsey, and the whole option idea of the offense. When it's on, it's indefensible. It's part of what made Allen to Beasley so great, because Beasley was great at it. Allen was great at it. But we talked about the challenges with everything, right? Like when you're running those option routes, the receiver and the quarterback have to see the same thing at the same time in the same way. So if the receiver, at any receiver, but we'll use a slot receiver, for example, if they're coming off the line and they're like, oh, it's cover 2. And the quarterback is like, oh no, it's cover 3. Like that's a problem, especially so they're going to run their route differently based off of what they're seeing. And there was so much option stuff that it was so mentally taxing. That was also, I think, the offseason where I think Tavon Austin said that was the most complicated offense he's ever been in. And because so much of it was option based and
post snap, those wide receivers have a lot of responsibility. Yes. But in many ways, so let's frame it. That is a lot of responsibility. That's taxing for wide receivers. And yes, they have to be on the same page with Josh to execute these plays. And the same play call could unfold completely differently post snap against different coverages. But in a lot of ways, it was like, hey, it was cool because every play could have an answer for everything. But at the same time, there were plays like the Eagles game where the Bills lost because Josh and Gabe Davis weren't on the same page on their choice concept. And so that's why I'm asking this question, because I don't know now, because I felt back then like, okay, the option routes, I can rationally and logically understand them, but I also understood how people were frustrated because there were so many miscommunications. There were so many routes and routes that were not run, and interceptions end up happening. And then, of course, guys are blamed for that. And so it's a lot different than this structure of this offense right now. And so I got some video. From one of the breakdowns I did about option routes, breaking down option routes to kind of give you guys the idea of what we're talking about here. And then I also have a play from the Dolphins game that kind of unfolded like this concept. And it just made me question if the Bills would be better off adding a little more option concepts, a little more, giving the wide receivers more responsibility and freedom, because personnel is one thing. Okay, they're limited there when it comes to personnel. But how do you augment that at this point? How do you get better with the personnel you have? You give them more responsibility. That's one thing. But also give them more options in their routes, right? Because if they don't have the physical ability to separate, they could use their brain to separate by, oh, this corner is going to a deep half. This safety is going to the deep half. The corner's sitting in the flats. I can change this route from a dig route to a corner route, that type of thing. And so I wanted to kind of, go through a little exercise here when it comes to the structure of the offense, and if it's too structured for Josh, because again, he is bypassing a lot of these easy passes underneath.
And we're talking about the current personnel real quick. Like Kincaid is really good at that option stuff. Shakir is good at that option stuff. Those are your two, arguably your best, not even arguably, like I think Palmer is up there, but those are your two best pass catchers right now, and the ones that Allen trusts the most. Maybe that starts to get some more opportunity for both of them to kind of read leverage, read coverage, and make it work.
Yeah. And so again, this will give you an idea on how one single play call could unfold in different ways. And maybe they don't have to max it out to this, because as we have Keamori in the chat saying, do we have guys like Diggs or Bees with the chemistry? And no, probably not. But again, you don't have to go to this level. But these run and shoot, these choice concept, these option routes can be added to some of the concepts to just, again, make it look the same until it isn't, right? And so take a listen to this little breakdown I did. I think this was honestly like December 2023. And route concept. The outside receiver stems inside and then has the option to run a seam, post, in, or curl. The slot receiver stems outside of the boundary receiver. This switch release is why it is generally called switch. As the receiver stems outside, he has the option to run a wheel up the sideline, a sit, or an in. And this is why Beasley was so good in this offense. He was a master at reading zone coverages and leverage. The motion by the Bills confirms zone coverage. The Bucs aren't really trying to hide that they're playing cover 3. That is 3 defenders deep and 4 defenders underneath. Post snap, the Bucs send an extra pass rusher at Josh Allen. That means this is a cover 3 call, but there are only 3 defenders underneath. Davis recognizes the seam defender widen with Shakir, making this read even easier. Davis immediately sits as he clears the Bucs defender, who is screaming to the flats in this cover 3 call. The passing window is massive because of how the two routes stretch the defense horizontally, but also because of the blitz. As soon as defenses attempt to take away the seam read by the outside receiver, different layers, it can typically open up the wheel route up the sideline. Against the Lions last year, the corner got a bit nosy, and Allen was still able to hit the wheel to McKenzie from the far hash. Here's another good example. This one from the Broncos Now you game. got that up the sideline. As a receiver switch release, the window for Davis looks open because the seam defender widens with Shakir. Allen begins his delivery and recognizes the defender plant and drive on Davis. And tell me our guys so Allen reloads run this stuff and hits the wheel route by Shakir up the sideline for an explosive
I would say
play.
Shakir.
We also saw this concept against the Eagles. So I just, again, I'm trying to frame it because when I saw this play, top of the screen, Keon, Coleman, and Shavers, when I saw this play, there's a switch release, and then you see Coleman go up the sideline. That flats defender carries with him. You got off coverage here by the corner. Watch what Shavers does. He just like, oh, let me just sit. That's the choice route. That's the choice concept. That's exactly that. And look at, again, how that unintentionally done by Shavers is in that concept, and how it has an answer for all of the zone coverages that the Bills are seeing now. They're seeing the 8th most zone coverage overall. Again, a big shift, a big change when you're talking what they're seeing on defense.
I was thinking too, with their current personnel, granted, there are a bunch of those clips where, having Shakir was in them, and he's obviously a huge focal point in this team. I was thinking of one, I don't remember what game it was, they against the Bengals, where he ran a nasty option route against Mike Hilton, because the Bengals, I think, banjoed it, and Hilton had inside leverage, and so Shakir faked it and banged it outside, and he's just so good at reading that leverage and feeling that leverage, and being able to see, especially if you're going to get this much zone coverage, having that option baked into so many routes, or I should say so many receivers, just gives you the opportunity to sit and think okay, here's the hole. Okay, here's the spot. Okay, here's the flat. The flat is open. The hook is open. If you're getting this much zone, it could be a really good answer. And again, the Brady dials are just turned too far one way, and now maybe the Brady dials are turned too far the other way, and they just need a little marriage, a little bit to come through. Everybody thought Dable getting fired meant Dable was going to come back. They're actually going to bring Dorsey back.
Oh my God!
Now, and they're going to marry the two minds between Brady and Dorsey, and it'll come full circle that way. Yeah, dude, we're right here. It's so funny. That I started thinking about this after the interception, watching the tape and seeing the interception to Knox on Monday, or whenever I watched the tape, Sunday, Monday. And because my thought too, a nice option piece from Knox, my thought I kept, and it's not really possible, but I was like, man, I really wish there was a baked-in option for Shakir to cut underneath and get a nice little rub, and he gets the inside track to the middle of the field. That corner can't get over the top option. I was like, and that made me think of the Mike Hilton one. And then I started thinking, you know what? They could really benefit from Keon Morty says, Ken Dorsey, quote unquote, senior offensive assistant. Bring him back. Let's get the band back together.
Oh my God. Can you imagine the fan base?
That would be crazy. I don't know what the fan base would do. It would be nuts.
Yeah.
But I do think that's a super viable idea. I do think a good chunk, like we talked about earlier, if they could just tweak and tinker with some of their tendencies in a variety of ways, like we talked about, presentation, down and distance, personnel, situation, all that kind of stuff, right? Formation, alignment, everything. I do think that is enough to get the job done, but I really like this option wrinkle, especially for guys like Shakir or Kincaid when he comes back. And even Palmer, I think, to a degree, because he's good at processing coverage and leverage. Getting Elijah Moore is good at that kind of stuff, and we should already be seeing a little more.
He
Elijah
came
Moore
from a RPO based, option offense at Ole Miss. So I'm trying to think outside the box. Yes, like I said earlier, adding speed to the exposition is one thing with Moore, Samuel, but I think adding a little more responsibility, as much as it pains me to say that, because again, we were at the forefront of saying, hey, Dorsey's offense is too much. It's complex, but at the same time predictable. And the defenses were dictating what routes these guys would run. But again,
they knew they were going, and that's a great point too. Right. They knew the option base, so they were like, okay, if we do A, they're going to do B. Similar to the whole RPO conversation, you can force the run or the pass by what you do defensively, and teams can dictate to you that way. Yeah, absolutely.
And
great point.
So again, you can't, the personnel's a personnel. You're going to add a few guys, sure, and Gabe Davis and whatnot. But I think this is one option to expand the route variability, the play variability, and to some of these plays, to tweak tendencies a little bit. And we talked about the RPOs. I think when you're seeing as much zone as they are, why wouldn't you go back to RPOs? Like I said, when it comes
to it pairs with us wanting more shotgun runs. Get back to that shotgun run game and the RPO thing, and by extension.
Yeah, and again, we're gonna say it again. It's been in the comments. Tendencies, like you're trying to break tendencies, and so unleash Josh on early downs. Unleash Josh. Get him those triple option type looks that they used to run a ton of under Dable. Now we're getting a lot more zone looks. It's very advantageous to the offense, and more importantly, it'll help you pass on early downs when you have a corner who's in off coverage because they want to keep everything in front of them. They're not really scared of anyone deep. Take those 5 to 7 yards on that free access out route that they used to run a ton against opposing defenses.
I'm thinking that Monday Night Titans game was filled with just free access to Diggs over and over
again. And who is the coach in New England now? Like it makes too much sense. Unleash Josh. Let him get back to some of those wild stallion type ways to get his head back on track so that he isn't scared to throw those, 4 to 5 yard under routes to set up things. And so again, we're just trying to think outside the box how, we can help this team. How we can help this team. We can help you. Let us help you. No.
Help you.
Yeah. And so let's get back to a couple more plays here. This is one. We'll get back to the negative here because this is one a Hank concept. Once again, Josh, there's your wide open tight end with off coverage with Obi there, and he doesn't take it. And then luckily he makes it all the way across the field once again to the check down, and the check down is able to out leverage the corner. So, hey, 16-yard gain to Ty Johnson. Awesome stuff. Great play. Great results. Bad process.
Yeah, that's exactly, you took the words out of my mouth. Great result, bad process. It didn't seem, there was also too, before the play, right before the interception in the low red zone on the stick concept, he has Shakir open in the flat, and he looks at him and just decides to go elsewhere and doesn't end up finding anything else. He just, didn't want to take this route or this profit in this game. And there's a lot of, even with Obi kind of sitting back there, number 9 for the Dolphins, if Allen just hits Knox right away, again, forget the result. You're talking about odds and probability and like the process of it. You spit this thing out. He's looking right at it. He can see the route distribution and the coverage distribution. Exactly. You highlighted the track from Knox.
Yeah.
You spit that thing out there. I like to think that Knox gets to that first down and gets past it. I think he takes the angle to the sideline, similar to the conversation we had about him taking the little flat or the arrow route to Shakir earlier on the Hank concept when we talked about it.
Yeah, he catches this. He's going to get up the sideline, and I guarantee he's going to look for contact. He's going to want to run this guy over, and who knows what type of emotion that draws, right? Okay. Those type of plays are really where Knox kind of thrives, those run after catch abilities. And so, Josh, again, good results, bad process. We just want to show that, that is one of those plays that, when you're looking at advanced stats and everything is great. It looks good. But again, the process really isn't that good. And here's one that Josh just misses. Again, late in the game, 2x2 set. You get an inside release from Coleman, kind of stumbles, but there's a play as this safety kind of nails down on the bender route by Knox. Josh has the ability to throw this inside more, not to the back shoulder, not to the boundary, lead this up the field for Keon. He is not able to. And again, look at the pocket is kind of dropping into his lap, but look at that shoulder. That is not what he practiced for years of when he wanted to drop the pin. He always worked on keeping his shoulders square and not tilting like that. And so you see him from that shallow base now try to make that throw from the phone booth and is just off target when Josh easily had a throw if he leads the receiver inside to the field, not to the boundary.
Yeah, Keon's got inside leverage. He's got positioning on him. If he can just even if this ball goes upfield, like it has a higher probability of success. But if you can get that inside, like
stumbling, come on, man.
Like, it's just, the corner stumbles in the stem. Like Keon does a good job tracking it. Like he gets his eyes immediately to Allen, sees where the ball is, and then immediately has to turn over his outside shoulder. And then not only that, Allen puts it on the outside shoulder instead of putting it up and or in. But then it essentially lands out of bounds. Like this had a legit shot. And I was thinking, I can't remember if I posted it or not, and how many people were like, oh, the one time Keon, or the kid like, well, yeah, Keon should do that. He's a 5th string wide receiver. And everybody was just glossing over the fact that that's a bad ball. Like that's an opportunity that was missed, and good call on the mechanics too. Like things got a little wonky for him in this game, rightly or wrongly.
All right. You guys, by the end of this breakdown, are going to hate the Hank concept. Here it is once again, top of the screen. There's your curl. There's your flat route. Josh doesn't want to throw it. Okay. So he stands in the pocket, gets to Keon Coleman right here. Coleman gets behind the corner. And I know, guys, it doesn't look like he's running full speed on this out and up, but he gets into the blind spot and he has this corner beat. But Josh, once again, kind of throws it wonky, throws a little too flat, doesn't lead Keon up the field, which allows that corner to come make a play. if Josh drops this in down the field, say the 20 or 18-yard line or so, I think Keon Coleman catches this and is probably able to get in for another touchdown, but he underthrows this here and it's batted down by the Dolphins defender.
And yes, that doesn't excuse, the lack of energy or the lack of effort, however anybody wants to label it with Keon's routes. That also conversation too. I'm not giving Keon a pass, but you mentioned it earlier. There were a lot of dudes that looked gassed in this game. And it's funny to see everybody pick out Keon for being like, oh, he's giving no effort. I love Khalil Shakir. There was a ton of routes in this game where Shakir was given the similar kind of get off.
He was dragging ass too. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So whether you want to put that on lack of effort or being out of shape or whatever, if you're going to play that game with Keon, you got to apply it to all the weapons across the board. He also could have, Keon, in this instance, I think he should have caught it on the ricochet. Not that
he
that's
should
the
have.
easiest
Yeah,
thing. Dude, he should have had that. But yeah, if Allen leads him up the field a little bit more, like you said, the 20-18, lets Keon run under it and get it. He's got about a half a step, and that's not some amazing dude that's underneath him. I think he gives him a better shot, or at the very least, give him the opportunity to kind of stop and get under it and come back to it and play up rather. Like Allen almost threw it to the DB more so than he threw it to Keon.
Yeah, it was flat. He needed to get a little more arc on that. And that little pump fake to the Hank actually got defenders to kind of stop and nail down, especially right here. And again, I think this one's on Josh as well. He's, had a rough game when it comes to a lot of things. This one really, really irked me. And I got people arguing with me online about how it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's 3rd and long. I get it. But again, you're playing this play. And if anything, the next play, setting up for the next play, the Dolphins send a blitz. Who's hot? Who's the sight adjustment? Dawson Knox. Hit it to him.
And he's looking.
He shows a number. And even if if Josh get him on his outside shoulder and he spins this way, you have a hat on a hat, maybe he gets a first down. At the very least, he's breaking this in half so that they can live to see another play. Instead, Josh just pulls it down and wants to be Superman. And what happens? He gets sacked. And again, it's something we're going to talk about if we have enough time because we're running a little late here. But this is happening too often on 3rd downs. It's happening way too often. And this is one of those plays where if you just take the profit here, get it to Dawson Knox, the guy that's dropping is right here. He's chasing. Like, just get it to Knox and see what happens.
Yeah, this one I didn't understand. Like, I know it's 3rd and long, but especially at this stage in the game, you're in 4-down territory. So it's not like, if you don't get it here, you guys are going to punt or something's going to happen.
Right.
I don't get it. Like, and Knox sees it. Knox sees his man rush. He knows he's hot. He turns and settles immediately. Allen looks right at him. To your point, even if it's a bad throw and he spits it to Knox or the corner and Brooks make a great play, you get a nice vice tackle on Knox. You're still looking at what, 4th and 5?
Yeah.
4th and 4, maybe 4th
yeah.
and 3. Or like you said, if Allen pins it on the outside shoulder and lets him get upfield and you get a block, you could be looking at a first down. Either way, worst case scenario is it turns into 4th and short instead of you get a sack, you take the loss. And this is part of, too, like their protection's getting gamed up a little bit on 3rd downs, the pressure rate on 3rd down. And it stems, I think, a lot from being on 3rd and long or 3rd in these known passing situations. And then you couple it all with, if defenses aren't scared of the threats on the outside and or deep. But we saw this going back even to last year where when the Bills would get into 3rd and long, it started with Baltimore. You'd get teams who would just game up their protection rules and attack them and really kind of get after them. And we're seeing that a bit again this year. Oh, real quick, we got a super chat.
Yeah.
Jason, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for the super chat. Jason says it feels, quote unquote, or asterisks, I should say, it feels like most deep passes. I love this point. Like most deep passes to Keon, Josh throws it like a back shoulder. He rarely throws it, quote unquote, aggressive when Keon has a step. Josh still treats it like a back shoulder or a lob ball.
That's fair. I think that's a fair assessment and evaluation. And it's something that they talked about all training camp about working on. And so, I mean, I think one that goes back to Josh and his struggles to drop a pin, throw to a spot, have whoever, whether it's a speedy receiver, big receiver, a guy run under it. I think he struggles on those go routes to drop the pin and drop the ball in there with the soft trajectory so the guy can run under it in stride. He struggles with that, which is why, a lot of those plays to Diggs, we even did a whole episode on it, right? A couple years ago, those missed passes deep. But
Yeah.
Posts, deep overs, those are his bread and butter. He can see the depth of that guy. He struggles when it goes on the field. And so I do think part of the reason they drafted Keon Coleman, part of the reason that Josh likes him is that he can throw the jump ball. He can throw the back shoulder to a guy like that. And it's easier for him to gauge.
That's fair. And I even think, the touchdown to Keon in this game,
Mm.
that throw was like up and away, and it let Keon go up to get it. I feel like so many of the throws to Keon downfield, not only your back shoulder, but they're like lasers that are kind of around your, like the numbers or your midsection. So it's more of like a horizontal turn rather than like letting Keon, I hate to keep making the basketball references, but letting Keon go up and get it like it's a rebound off the glass. Instead, he's making it more like it's a horizontal type of throw, and it doesn't tend to work out. He doesn't give Keon the opportunity to go sky and get it and use that size and frame and athleticism. But when it works, it's really pretty. And ironically, it worked on this play. Right? And that's why this play is our easy loan auto sales, making it look easy play of the game.
Yeah, great segue, Jason. We appreciate that. This is the touchdown pass to Keon Coleman. Again, that 50-50 ball, back shoulder type play against God only knows the name of that cornerback, but really nice throw and good, again, great gauge by Josh Allen and follow through here to Keon to reel it in and to get in there for 6 points. This was our easy loan auto sales, making it look easy play of the game. Honestly, this was one of those games I didn't even want to give them one of these plays, but we love easy loan auto sales and we want to follow through on our partnership with them. So we appreciate them, and we appreciate Josh hitting Keon for 6 points here.
Yeah, we really wanted to be like, nothing was easy in this game, and they didn't make anything look easy, so we're not doing it. But yeah, we respect our friends at Easy Loan Auto Sales and the partnership. And yeah, this is that throw. Like, it's up and away. It allows Keon to go up, use the size and frame and athleticism to his advantage a little bit. I also think in these instances, like, this is, again, I know these are low percentage throws, and there's not a lot of things that Keon necessarily, quote unquote, does well at this point, but this is like his wheelhouse. This is his bread and butter. Putting the ball like up and away and letting Keon go up and get it, even if he doesn't come down with it, there's a good chance he draws a flag, or he draws, whether it's pass interference, whether it's a hold, some kind of illegal contact, whatever. You got to give him the opportunity to use that size and frame. I feel like too often, as Jason noted, Allen will make this throw and it's more of a like, okay, let me peel off and catch it at, the 15-yard line and toe tap, like a back shoulder, like Aaron Rodgers used to throw to Devontae Adams. And that was a sweet connection. But Adams and Keon are two completely different type of receivers with how they succeed. I like Allen putting this ball up and away, letting Keon go up and get it. And he does go up and get it, obviously. And this is a difficult play, a low percentage throw, but Josh Allen makes it look easy. Keon Coleman makes it look easy. And that's why this throw is our throw and catch, I should say, is our Easy Loan Auto Sales, making it look easy play of the game. Sponsored, of course, by Easy Loan Auto Sales. Easy Loan Auto Sales is Western New York's premier buy here, pay here car dealership with locations in Buffalo and Lockport. Regardless of your credit history, they offer the fastest car buying experience around. Get approved and reserve your vehicle all from your phone. Start your approval at easyloanauto.com, and you could be driving today.
Appreciate it. Appreciate them partnering with us again this year, and good stuff there. Keon's had a few easy loan auto sales, making it look easy plays so far in his career, and usually they come in that fashion: catch point type plays, separating at the catch point, usually back shoulder or climbing the ladder. It's kind of his MO. And again, I know there have been struggles to get on the same page with him, but those type of plays are definitely, like you said, his wheelhouse. But before we get out of here, one of the last things I wanted to talk about that was kind of a great segue and that last third and long where Josh took the sack on that hot route, were some of his sacks. Like, I started right before the show. I started looking at some of his sacks here. Let's see if I can bring it up, though. Hold on. Maybe I can't. Let's see here.
As you start to, for those who want to know, last year, out of 44 qualifying quarterbacks, Josh Allen was 43rd in a good way in terms of pressures converted to sacks at 9%. And the only person who was below him was Derek Carr. Derek Carr qualifies, but he got hurt. He played 334 less snaps than Josh Allen. So essentially, Allen was the best quarterback last year in not allowing pressures get converted to sacks at 9%. Keep that in mind, 9%. This year, his pressure to sack rate is 18.7%. It's essentially more than doubled. And you see numbers like that, And then you see numbers like this, or
Yeah.
on this chart, I should say. Yeah, Eric, you and I were going over this pre-show. Whoa, I don't have thoughts. Or I have thoughts, but I'm speechless. It's crazy.
So something I'm going to do the film breakdown. We don't have enough time to do it right now. But I looked at the sacks by down, and you can see that 12 of the sacks that Josh has taken this year have occurred on third down. So you ask yourself, that entire hour and 20 minutes that we talked about taking the easy stuff on first and second and long to set up advantageous third down, why it's so important? Because on third downs, they're teeing off on Josh, and the time to pressure set, especially, it happens on third down. So for the most part, you can see that in the 2.6 to 2.7 range is when pressure is registered against Josh overall. But on third down, it goes just under or just above 2.4 seconds. And he's taken 12 sacks on third down, 16.9% sack rate percentage on third down. That is why everything we just went over is so important. He needs to stay out of third and longs, because like you saw on that last play, he's not taking the easy stuff on first and second and long. It's leading to third and long, and Josh isn't hitting plays that are there. He's not hitting the hot routes or sight adjustments, and it's compounding things. And he's taken way more negative plays this year as opposed to last year, like you talked about.
Yeah, these numbers were pretty staggering. Like I always track the pressure to sack percentage. That's the thing I thought he was best at for so many years, the athleticism and, the mutant alien unicorn stuff, like him being able to take a free runner and stiff arm him in the face or juke him and then make a play. And this year we're seeing a little bit less of that. And, Larry's point saying the O-line hasn't been great. I think there's been some struggles for some of the guys, but I think it's more for me, and I feel like you're going to feel the same, Eric, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. I think it's more of the protections that are being set and their protections that are being gamed up, and, some of the things that Allen's calling. So, I mean, even that example of the coverage that we showed, the really nice Tampa
disguise.
spin. Yeah, that Miami disguise that we liked. He slides that line left, and you get Judon on Ty Johnson. So he created a situation where Matt Judon, a defensive end, is one-on-one with a running back, and you get those type of deals.
Right.
Yeah, I'm shaking my head too. I saw that.
Yeah.
It's just, setting those protections, getting gamed up a little bit, teams knowing your rules or confusing you, and then you're not taking the hot.
Yeah.
When it's there, they're really compounding that. And that's even more so why you need to stay third and manageable. So maybe you can run it on 3rd and 4 and get down to 4th and 1 and then do a tush push instead of getting cute for the first down, maybe.
Or, I like that they had a wrinkle, but you showed the wrinkle.
Yeah.
And then there was a timeout called or something like that.
Yeah,
so you showed the play, and then you went to the timeout, and then you ran the same play. Like, what's happening there? That's on the staff. Like that.
Yep.
I like having the wrinkle. It just, you don't show it and then run it again, like run it back.
Yeah.
No, that's not
just you showed your hand.
Basic.
They maybe got to look at it. Don't get cute. Just hammer it with the tush push.
Just
get
hammer
the first
it.
down.
Yes.
Live to fight another day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bust that out another time. Come on now.
Yeah, they saw it. And there's so many compounding or frustrating things. Honestly, if we deep dove we did a pretty good deep dive here, but if we deep dove every problem in and of itself, we probably have 5 to 10 hours of content just with all of these schematic and structural, but the tweaks and adjustments. And I think a good point with all this is obviously the focus of this episode is the struggles on the offense. And we diagnosed and diagrammed a bunch individually, Allen, other players, the scheme, the structure, the design, all of that. All of these issues to a degree are somewhat improvable and fixable. Yeah. I don't think this season is lost, and I'm not saying that to kind of gloss over the problems. Those who listen to the show and or listen to me know how frustrated I am with several of the issues that are on this team and how I was afraid of them in the offseason. This season is not lost. I'm very excited and hopeful and wary and anxious of what they do, especially on the offensive side of the ball when it comes to the tweaks, because I do think it is possible for them to get out of this rut. It's just a matter of how they do it and how much they commit to it. But I'm really excited to kind of see what they do going forward.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It can be frustrating. It has been. There's been some really high highs and some very low lows. And I think this Dolphins game really kind of encompassed the low of the lows. And I do think some of the answers that they can pivot to are valid answers that can really change around the offense, and especially the passing offense. Like, there are some answers there. Get healthy, start to tweak a few things. You still have, like, the Dolphins are challenging. They were challenging you to beat them with Josh Allen.
Yes.
Give teams that.
Which is
give the defenses that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
give them what they want. All right. That's the way I look at it. It seems
nuts.
It seems like it's hyperbolic, but it's Josh motherfucking Allen. Unleash him. Just unleash him. And especially those early downs. And we'll finish the show like we started. Unleash Josh Allen, especially on those early downs. Let him play his game so that he can get back on track, back into his rhythm, and getting defenses to fear him, not just James Cook.
Yeah. I think they've lost the plot a little bit on offense, and I loved the change in offensive direction last offseason. I loved the bigger body types and the heavier personnel and condensed formations and alignment and personnel and formation advantages and using those as your weapons. And that wasn't unique to the Bills. Most of the best offenses in the league were all doing that, and they're continuing to do that. Teams are winning that way, but it was almost like, they sacrificed so much to get to that. And it wasn't sacrificed to the point where it's gone and it's done and dusted and can never come back. Although Stephon Diggs is gone, conversation for another time. But they can, again, tinker a little bit, monkey with things a little bit, turn some dials, pull some levers, push some buttons. There is a way out of this. And it's funny that teams are literally just like, we're not going to let the run and James Cook beat you. And so the antithesis of that is like, you want us to beat you with Josh Allen? Like, take the challenge.
Yes.
Take that challenge. It's like if you got a 30-point scorer on your team and they're just being like, well, we're just going to make you go ISO and go one-on-one with your best guy. All right. You want us to just play ISO with Melo all day? Okay. Melo, here's the ball. ISO. That's
go
it.
Scorched
just go.
earth. Yeah.
Go scorched earth, put up 30, do what you can do. And then, because what happens then is it starts to turn a little bit, and then the run becomes easier. Things start to all kind of, rising tide lifts all boats, and you start to build. There's so much more to get into, but hopefully we see a positive turnaround against the Buccaneers this Sunday, especially considering the injuries they have on both sides of the ball. And then I'm very scared for the Thursday night against the Houston Texans in Houston and that defense, but we'll see what happens regardless of what happens against the Bucs or the Texans or anyone else the rest of the way. We will have you covered here in the film room every single week. Erik, as we start to wind down and say goodbye on this long and informative edition of the film room, where's your head at? Are you still on vacation mode and in California? Are you focused on the Bucs? Have you fair enough. Ready to just go shovel some snow and do all that stuff?
Yeah. I go back to work tomorrow. I can't wait. Let me tell you. No, I'd
excited.
I'd rather be doing this. This was a fun episode. I know it's very in depth. We covered a lot of topics, and some of them, like the QB sack stuff, literally we just came up with that as we were about to go live, and I wanted to talk about it. We weren't able to completely flesh it out. I had 12 clips of Morgan Fox that I still have that I need to break down with the Falcons and the Chargers. We ran out of time, unfortunately. I need to eat dinner, spend some time with the family.
Dude, I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. Yeah.
So I would love to break down Morgan Fox tape, who they just added to the practice squad, but we're going to have to save that for, I think, the socials. So keep an eye out on our social media accounts, and, we have you covered.
Yeah, we will have you covered. And, we'll see what they get out of Morgan Fox. Several people are really championing that, and we'll see what happens. And, see what happens with Gabe Davis maybe this weekend. See what happens with this offense.
He's going to play this week against Tampa. I thought I dropped that on social. He should be playing this week. So
you did. Incoming 4 catches for 140 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's what I'm thinking. The old school Gabe Davis.
Everything's come full circle, man. I'm telling you, with the structure of the offense talk that we had, you're seeing the Mac Hollins love and the role he played for the Bills and how much they miss him. And I mean, Gabe was doing that for a long time, and people didn't care.
They did not.
It's full, dude. It's full circle, but I love it. I love talking football. I love seeing the evolution of this offense and what we just went over has been so much fun to track, because even things that we said, I'm like, damn. Now I see the other side. I see this side. It's like, do I want what we had, or do I want what we have now? You know what I mean? So it's fun. I love this stuff.
Yeah, it's forcing us to look inward into who we are as like people and football people. And yeah, it's almost kind of like be careful what you wish for type of deal, and seeing how this team can balance things going forward on the offensive side of the ball. Really interesting. You're getting some defensive players starting to return, so hopefully that defense continues to get healthy. I think this season, I'm not just saying it as like a throwaway line, this season is far from over for the Buffalo Bills.
Agreed.
And as much as everything seems like the sky is falling and doomsday is here and everything's on fire, it is not. And everybody talked about it, right? You'd rather be in the right place as a wild card team come playoff time than be the 1 seed and have a bunch of holes and be found out. And maybe this is the year that all of that comes to fruition. But yeah, it'll be fun and stressful and tiring to track regardless. And we will have you covered on our socials, here in the film room every single week. Wherever you support us, whatever form or fashion your support comes in, we're greatly appreciative of it and thankful for it. Thank you very much to Jason for your super chat in this episode. If you are still watching here on YouTube, please drop a like on this video. Likes are the lifeblood of these streams, so please drop a like here on this video if you're watching on YouTube now, or if you're watching post live later. If you're listening on one of the podcasting apps or platforms, that's cool too. Please rate, review, and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. Tell your family, friends, loved ones about it. If they're Bills fans, football fans, maybe you know a Dolphins fan and you want to show them some awesome things that you think the Dolphins did, key them into this episode, this channel, whatever you got. Again, we appreciate every form and fashion of support that comes our way, and we're tremendously appreciative of it and thankful for it. Shout out, as always, to our insiders and our people in the Discord. Shout out to Joe DeRosa, our man behind the scenes and producer, who helps us get after it every single week. And that'll do it for us here in this episode of the Cover One Film Room. For myself, Anthony Prohaska, for the founder of Cover One, Mr. Eric Turner. We will see you when we see you. We hope you and your family and friends and loved ones are all doing well and staying safe. Don't panic. We'll see what happens. If you're going to the game this weekend, enjoy it. Have fun. Be safe. We'll see you next week. Godspeed. And as always, go Bills.